Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Liz and in today's video I have 4 super cute spring DIYs. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So for this first one, I'm going to take one of these long signs from the Dollar Tree. You can get them basically all year round for all sorts of different seasons. Mine just happened to be from fall, and I'm going to flip it onto its backside and I am going to paint that with my Waverly chalk paint in white. Now I picked up these buckets from the Dollar Tree and you'll notice that I cut one in half. That's the one that we're going to be using today. I had my husband use his rotary tool and it had a blade on it that could cut the bucket in half. I was way too afraid to use it, so I had him do that portion for me. So we just cut that bucket in half and then I'm painting it with 2 coats of my Waverly chalk paint in Agave. And then I'm just going to take some more of my white Waverly chalk paint and just distress and dry brush over that bucket, all over and even on the handle. Now I'm going to take these 2 picture frames that I also got from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the little stands on the back. And now to be able to attach my bucket to my sign, I'm going to take some tumbling tower pieces and I'm just going to put those right against the sides of the bucket, and then I'm going to add some hot glue and attach it to my sign. Now I'm going to hot glue those frames down to my sign as well, one at the top and then one at the bottom. I did make sure to leave a little bit of room at the top of the bottom so that I could add some twine to it. Once I've got those on there, I'm going to take some twine and make myself a bow just by wrapping it around my fingers a couple of times, taking an extra piece of twine and wrapping it around the middle, and then I'm just going to hot glue that down to the front of my little bucket. Now I'm going to take some twine and wrap it around the top and bottom portion, just going around it probably about 4 or 5 times. And then I just tied it in the back, and then I'm going to add some pictures to the frames, and that's it for this DIY.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep.
So today's video is a collaboration with Adrienne over on Full-Time DIY Mommy. If you have not checked her out, make sure that you do, because she makes the cutest farmhouse decor. Her channel gives me so much inspiration for my home. I absolutely love the work that she does. So if you haven't checked her out, I will have her video and her channel linked in my description box below. Make sure that you go over there and show her some love and tell her that I sent you. And if you're coming from Adrienne's channel, my name's Liz. I love everything DIY and crafting. If that's something that you enjoy, make sure that you click that subscribe button so you can become a part of my little crafting family. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook and shop my craft kits over on my Facebook shop. For this DIY, I am going to grab one of these flower welcome signs that I picked up from the Dollar Tree last year during 4th of July season. Obviously, it's red, white, and blue, but we're going to change that up. I am going to take it apart a little bit because it was sticking up in a funny way and it wasn't laying down the way that I want it. So I took that first layer off of the flower, and then I'm going in with my mineral color chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm going to give the entire flower a good 2 coats of this paint. Now, to add some more color to it and give it a little bit more distressing and dimension, I'm going to take the Agave color from Waverly, and I just mixed a little bit of that mineral color with it, and I'm going to go through and distress the flower. I'm mostly hitting the ends of all the petals, and then I'll kind of dry brush over it a little bit just to give it that little pop of color in there. I kind of wanted that Agave color to look a little bit faded. And then I'm going to take some white just to give some more highlight to the flower, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the agave. I'm just going to hit the tops of those petals and then kind of drag my brush down so it has a little bit of distressing on each petal. Now, to just reattach that top portion of my flower, I just use some super glue and some hot glue for an immediate hold. And I just stuck that right down on top, and then I'm gonna grab one of these wood rounds. I picked up a 3-pack of these from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to paint this in my Waverly chalk paint in white. I didn't worry about painting all the way to the bottom because we are going to be covering that up. I'm going to take some of this ribbon that I also got from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to cut it into 3 sections, going from smallest to largest. You just wanted to make sure that it's long enough so that you can wrap it around your round sign. So I'm just going to take my hot glue and hot glue the bottom portion down, making sure that everything is nice and even on the bottom. And then I'm going to take that second piece of my ribbon, I'm going to stack that on top of my first piece that I put down, just slightly overlapping it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my third piece. I'm going to overlap that middle piece and then hot glue the excess around the back of the sign. Now I'm going to take that flower and I'm going to use some super glue and some hot glue again, and I'm going to glue that to the top portion of my sign. And then I'm going to pick up these florals that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I just cut off a couple pieces from the stems, and I'm just going to arrange those into our ribbon so it's a little pocket in there, and I'm going to put my flowers in there, just kind of get them how I want them. And then I'm going to take some extra pieces of greenery that I had, and I'm going to stick those in there as well, just to give it a little bit something else, some more green, some more texture. And that's it for this DIY. I think this turned out so cute. I love the little pocket idea. I think they are so fun, and you can switch those florals out anytime you want, so I really enjoyed this one.
You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high.
So for this DIY, I'm going to take one of these calendar pictures that I picked up from the Dollar Tree in a calendar. I just ripped out one of the images from there, and I'm going to take these signs that I got from the Dollar Tree as well. I got them during the Valentine season, and I needed some boards that were going to fit this sign, and honestly it probably would have been so much easier to pick up some wood and cut the wood down, but I really didn't want to go anywhere. So I just measured out each piece that I needed. My idea was to measure them out to where the picture is showing kind of those shiplap lines on the picture itself. And I wanted the picture to be separated into 4 different pieces. So I'm going to cut out 4 pieces of this sign so that they match up with the shiplap lines of the picture. It all makes sense in a minute once you see it, but I am going to flip those pieces on the back once I've gotten them all down to the size that I needed. And I just used my craft knife and just scored it a bunch, and then I was able to kind of wiggle it back and forth until it snapped. Now, I was going to use Mod Podge for this, and I did on this piece, which was my mistake because the picture ended up really, really wrinkly on that part. So I should have just gone in with my glue stick to begin with. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to glue my picture down to these slats, just right in a row. And once that is all attached, I'm going to take my craft knife and I'm going to go down those slats to cut each piece apart. So you will have 4 pieces of your picture. And I wanted this to look more like a shiplap rustic kind of look. So that is why I did that. Now to attach them, but I made sure to leave a little bit of a gap in between each slat so they aren't fully together. And I'm just going to take some hot glue and a large popsicle stick and I am going to secure them together that way. And then once those are secure, I'm going to take some large paint stir sticks that I got in a pack from Lowe's. I'm going to take my Craft Smart Stain in Brown and I'm going to stain all 4 pieces. Now I just measured around my sign and went out to the miter saw that I have in my garage and cut them down that way. And then I just took some hot glue and just started hot gluing them all in place, just around the sign. I'm going to take my Waverly Wax and Antique and I'm going to go in between all those slats a little bit on the paper. I wanted it to look really rustic and weathered and I didn't want it to look like just paper that was cut. So I added that antique wax as just a finishing touch.
Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind. I will keep on holding my head.
For our last DIY today, I'm going to take 2 terracotta pots that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now this was the first time that I ever tried this technique. It didn't turn out perfectly, but I thought that I would show you to give you some inspiration where you could try this DIY on your own and give me some tips and tricks on how you have perfected it because it wasn't the easiest thing to do as I thought it was going to be, but it was a lot more complicated. So I'm just going to paint 2 of my terracotta pots in Waverly white chalk paint and the other one in Agave. I picked up a bag of rubber bands from the Dollar Tree and I just started wrapping those rubber bands all over the terracotta pots. There really wasn't a rhyme or a reason to how I did it. I just wanted them to be on there. I had some overlap and crisscross. My issue was getting them on there tight enough, but not too tight to the point where they would just kind of roll right off the pot. So they were a little bit loose, which then comes the issue that I had when painting over them because the rubber bands would move as I was painting. So I'm going to take my agave color on top of the white terracotta pot in hopes that I would have white lines around my terracotta pot. It semi-worked, but there were some places where it didn't turn out totally perfect. So if you have any ideas of what I could do to make this a lot cleaner looking, let me know, because that would be great.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
And that's it for today's DIYs. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Remember to check out Adrian's channel in the description box below. Let me know what your favorite DIY was today. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!